Hello, jazz fans. Welcome to today's performance in the Johnson County Community College Polsky Theater. This jazz recital features some of the Kansas City area's most accomplished musicians, and we're so glad to have them with us. Adam Larson is a recently arrived saxophone player and composer who comes to us from 12 years in the New York City scene. He earned an MA from the Manhattan School of Music and moved to Kansas City in 2019 to take a position on the UMKC Conservatory staff and to join our active jazz community. While he is new, you will know the rest of his quartet: Roger Wilder on piano, Ben Leifer on bass, and John Kazillermuth on drums. The quartet will be playing some of Adam's compositions. Gentlemen, thank you for being here.
Thank you. All right, intro first two chords. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1. viewing this in whatever format you are. I'm certainly really happy to be playing music for the first time really in about 5 months and in such incredible company. So I'll reintroduce the band one more time. That's the great Roger Wilder on the piano, Ben Leifer on the bass, and John Kizillermu on the drums. My name is Adam Larson. And over the next hour or so, we're going to play some of my original compositions, some things new, some things old, probably a little bit of both for everybody viewing this. The first song is an unrecorded original of mine that I wrote after moving to Kansas City. It doesn't necessarily have to do with me moving to Kansas City. It has more to do with me turning 30 years old. It's called Life Cycle. And instead of getting sad about the fact that I am no longer going to be considered young, I wrote a song about it, so I hope you enjoyed that song. It's called Life Cycle. We're going to play another one of my newer tunes, also not recorded. It's a song called The Jewel, and it's inspired by a week that I got to spend in Miami, Florida, at the old Bacardi building on Biscayne Boulevard. I was there doing a multidisciplinary grant-funded week of exploration with a dancer and choreographer. So we put together this pretty cool piece of collaborative art. But in the moments that we weren't doing that, I was trying to soak up all the time I could to write some new music. So this song is written for the place that I spent all my time that week. It's called the Jewel Box Theater, and the entire room is constructed of stained glass windows on every side. So as the sun would come down around 6 or 7, the beauty in the room was incredible. So I tried to capture the essence of that in this song called The Jewel. Let's go right on the top. Right on the top. 1, 2, 3, 2, 2. Wow, you guys are the quietest audience I've ever heard. Thank you very much for being so attentive. And it's amazing. You come take 5 months off the road and you come back and the audiences are just as appreciative as ever. So thank you so much. We've really taken this time to reflect on how to be great listeners. So thank you. The next tune we're going to play is a song of mine called Boom Bap. And it was originally called Something Different. And that title was just horrible. And I'm not sure this is any better. But it needed a change because I was in Chicago playing a 4-night run of the Jazz Showcase. And my mother came up from downstate and she sat through, I think, 5 consecutive sets of pretty high-octane, mid-20s testosterone-fueled jazz. And I got on the microphone and I said, and now we're going to play something different. And my mother, from the back of a very full house that night, said, oh, you mean like a ballad or something slow? And it's pretty brutal, but my mom's always been like that. When I started playing saxophone when I was 11, she knocked on my door and said, son, I'm so glad that you're practicing, but if you don't have a good sound, not even I'm going to love the way you play. So some cold stuff to say to a beginner, but that's why I'm still here trying to sound good on the saxophone. Love you, Mom. I'm just giving her a little bit of a hard time, but I love her very much. So anyway, she was like, the title of Something Different has to go. And it was also very confusing. I would say to the band, hey guys, let's play Something Different. And they go, cool, what's the song? And I go, no, that's the So you can see it's very confusing. But hopefully when you listen to our wonderful drummer, one of my best friends in the world, consider him my big brother, he plays this groove, you're gonna understand why I call it Boom Bap. 1, 8 on the top, 1, 2, 1, 2. All right, how about a hand for John Kazilimu on the drums? That's boom bap. We're gonna play a tune now that I wrote from my parents, and they've always been very supportive, which when you decide that you want to be a freelance jazz saxophonist from the middle of nowhere, Illinois, Normal, Illinois to be in fact, that can be a very frightening thing to say to two well-intended parents. But they're both musically inclined. My mother is in her 35th year of junior high band instruction, trumpet player. In fact, one of my quarantine stress relievers has been recently to take almost nightly lessons via FaceTime with my mom on trumpet. The saxophone company that I play their saxophones, they also do trumpets, so they sent me a trumpet in the mail, and I've been having a ball playing hot cross buns and Mary Had a Little Lamb. I called John while he was driving. He answered, and he almost drove off the road. He was not ready for, I played 4, right? I attempted to play all 4 notes, yeah. So having a lot of fun with that, and I wouldn't be anywhere without my parents, their constant support. So my father is a drummer. We used to play every weekend, basically, since the time I could play a saxophone. In fact, my first gigs were with him lugging a old school 6 CD DVD like disc changer and an amp, and I would play these like men's luncheons at the Elks Lodge or somebody's wedding reception or a nursing home or something like that with these background tracks. And then once I got tired of doing that, I asked my dad if he'd be so kind to play the drums behind me, and he got some of his coworkers from State Farm Insurance, and we put together kind of a very sanitized version of the Yellow Jackets. And we played, it was great. When I was 14, I didn't know any better. I mean, how do I say that? When I was 14, I was happy to play whatever my dad would put in the book. So we played Tom Scott and the LA Express. We played some Jay Beckenstein, Spyro Gyra. We played all kinds of stuff. And as I started to get a little bit more jazz snobby, I was like, okay, for every morning dance from Spyro Gyra we play, we're going to play Stella by Starlight, and no, we can't play it in a funk. And this theme kind of started to get a little bit more intense the more I decided I wanted to be Mr. Jazzman. And I can confidently say that the music that I'm playing today, which again is original music, is heavily influenced actually by all the stuff that was not necessarily straight ahead jazz from my early beginnings. I started listening to jazz through saxophonists like Gerald Albright, Boney James. Some of these names are definitely not, you might get actually, it's sacrilegious in certain circles to say, hey, I started my listening with Boney James on the saxophone. But when I was 12 years old, it was very difficult for me to understand what Charlie Parker had to do with the Backstreet Boys, because that's what I was listening to. So if I could listen to a recording of Boney James playing Song from My Father with a funk groove, that was going to be my gateway into figuring out the original Horace Silver version of Song from My Father. So anyway, I'm trying to give you as much context about why I'm standing here still playing jazz. And a lot of that has to do with my parents and how they exposed me to a lot of different types of music. So this tune that we're going to play is a song called Gratitude. It's going to feature our bassist, Mr. Ben Leifer. And when I moved to Kansas City a little over a year ago, I had forgotten kind of that I had met Ben previously. And I didn't even know we overlapped in New York, actually. You were there from 08 to 10, is that correct? 10 to 11. So I was in New York from 08 till, 19 basically. And I never saw him in New York. It's funny, you think you can see everybody and know everybody in the scene, and then we never ran into each other. But we did meet once in Los Angeles. It was one of the worst experiences in my life, meeting Ben. No, not meeting Ben, but the circumstances around it were pretty dark. We were auditioning for a very prestigious program called the Thelonious Monk Institute of Jazz, and that was not the dark part. In fact, that was kind of exhilarating. At 9 in the morning, I was in a group, the first group, and Ben was not with me. Maybe I would have felt a little more comfortable he was, but it was us in front of a panel, and the panel included Wayne Shorter, Herbie Hancock, Jimmy Heath, Kenny Burrell. Am I missing anybody? That was all that was there, right? James Newton, right? And then some cat from administration, I think, from UCLA. But, I mean, just imagine that, like, playing, and Wayne Shorter's sitting there, and we get to the quintessential Wayne tune, and it's Infant Eyes, and that's a 28-bar form, and there's 5 horn players. So nobody is saying anything, but I'm the one who's like, hey, just out of curiosity, how do you want to divide the band up on this melody? And he just goes like this. Like cryptic Wayne, like, okay, what does that mean? And after everybody's just like, okay, we don't know what that means. He's like, quarters. So I was like, okay, so you want us to play each 7 bars until We get to, like, so the last person's gonna play the first 7 bars of the next head. I was asking all the wrong questions. I should just play. It was range shorter. I should just shut up and played, right? But that's how I was wired. So anyway, that was 9 o'clock, and Ben and another great trumpet player, who I'm sure you're aware of if you've been in KC for the last 10 years, Herman Mahari, they auditioned later in the day, and no matter when you auditioned, after you were done, you would go back into this holding room, basically, which is the UCLA band room. And we stayed in that holding room from 9 a.m. until 5 p.m., and at 3 o'clock, they had chosen the band that was going to be the Institute for the next year. So you could look across the hallway into the locked room and see who won and who didn't. And it was pretty depressing. So they're like, all right, now that we've decided who the winners are and who the losers are, we're all going to get back in this communal bus, and we're going to go back to the hotel. And I don't know if you remember this part, Ben, but I was like, I'm not doing that. I will walk. So I walked in protest from UCLA 3 miles back to the hotel by myself, wondering why I didn't just play Infinize. Anyway, we're going to feature Ben Leifer on this next tune, a wonderful friend, the best bassist here in KC, and really, for that matter, anywhere you can go, just incredible bassist and musician. We're going to feature him up front in this tune called Gratitude. All right, so the next song that we're going to play is another original of mine. I actually wrote it a few years back, and it was part of a fundraising campaign that I was doing to produce my third album at the time. And one of the incentives that I was offering was if somebody cared enough about the way that I composed and you put down enough money, I would write you your own song. And a family from where I grew up, who's always been very supportive, they decided to go in on that perk, so I wrote the song for them. And I was thinking about what is their relationship to my family over the years and body. And it was just a general sense of goodness. We grew up in the church together as church families. And they kind of view me as their, I guess, unadopted, or adopted, I should say, a nephew. So this is a tune to remind you that, you know, as the world seems to be a very perilous place at the moment, it's always a very good idea if we can to try to think positively. Right now, it's probably never been harder ever in my life, certainly. It seems like a lot of things are happening at one time. So I think music, you know, is a really important way that we can access a different level of emotions. So this song is meant to uplift, and it's called See the Good. Hope you've enjoyed the performance this morning or whenever you are getting a chance to watch this. Thanks again to Doreen Morandi here at JCC and Sheila. I'm blanking on your last name. I'm sorry about that. But Sheila, thank you so much for being here for us today and helping us out, make sure we're safe. Everything was perfect. We walked in, the doors were open. In fact, there was a specific place we had to stand on one side of the table because it was cleaner there and everything was sanitized. Thank you so much for taking great care of us. Also to the AV and sound, everybody here. It's hard to put into words for me how great it is to play music. And again, especially with such incredible musicians. The time off has been brutal, but to play music like this really kind of, for me, I don't know, it just refreshes my soul and my spirit. So I'm very fortunate and thankful to have had the opportunity to play today. We're going to play one more tune. It's a contrafact on a old Vincent Youmans composition called Without a Song. And a contrafact is something that's been around forever. And it's very much a part of the jazz history. If you look to, the most famous jazz musician arguably of all time, Mr. Charlie Parker, plenty of the songs that you hear him play are contrafacts, and there's differing reasons for that, but I think the biggest one, if you were to get in a time capsule and ask those guys, why'd you write contrafacts instead of playing I Got Rhythm? They would probably tell you because they don't want to pay the copyrights to play I Got Rhythm, and they can play probably a little bit more interesting, and we'll just go ahead and say it, better melody than I Got Rhythm anyway. So a contrafact is basically a song that you write your own melody to over pre-existing chord changes. You can't copyright chord changes. Although that might change. Some things that happened last year were pretty intense. I think Robin Thicke, now you can copyright a bass frequency or some nonsense like that. So for now, no more low sound in anything. It's getting rough out there for musicians. But anyway, we're going to play my contrafact on Without a Song. The great American jazz saxophonist Joe Henderson, he had a little bit of a thing on this where he would take the basic chord changes to Without a Song, and he would tinker with them a little bit. That's called reharmonization. So that's kind of like the next layer of a contrafact, I suppose. So me being the studious student that I was at the time, I said, all right, I'm going to do the same thing, tinker with it a little bit, steal some little bit of Vincent Youmans, steal some little bit of Joe Henderson, and I'll add my chords that hopefully slot somewhere in the middle. So thank you so much for listening, and I hope you enjoyed this performance. This is Roger Wilder one more time on the piano. This has Ben Leifer on the bass, John Kizillermoot on the drums. My name is Adam Larson. If you feel like learning more, adamlarsonjazz.com. This last tune is a song called This As Well. Thank you so much, everybody.